welcome back to the Conservative Cat Show. I so do appreciate you being here this morning. It's Friday. This is a place where we claw through the fluff and we pounce on the facts. And I'm your host, Kat, and today we are going to be talking about the 2025 Illinois State Fair. On the surface, it's being hailed as a family-friendly celebration of affordability. But you dig a little bit deeper and you find out that the taxpayers spent $140 million on this thing. $140 million on this budget-friendly bash, the Illinois State Fair. So we're going to be talking about where your money's going and who's benefiting from it. And then we're also going to be talking about these runaway Democrats again, because they are hiding in Illinois, and there is a new lawsuit that you need to know about. The lawsuit demands their arrest and return. This lawsuit was filed in Illinois. I am also going to be talking about a federal judge blocking the construction of Alligator Alcatraz. Totally a gay reason why they're blocking it right now. Well, we don't even really know the reason right now because they didn't put the docket up. So I don't know what laws were in violation of. It was for environmental problems. But we're going to get to the real reason why they're actually why this federal judge probably blocked the construction of Alligator Alcatraz, because they want to ensure that President Donald Trump cannot enforce federal immigration laws. They want to make it impossible for him to enforce federal immigration laws. So we're going to chat a little bit about that. Governor J.B. Pritzker and his team, they of course are patting themselves on the back. God, this was so nauseating to watch. They were patting themselves on the back and for lowering the admissions of the Illinois State Fair. Now I've gone once, maybe twice to the Illinois State Fair, maybe once. Not willingly, because usually I just go to my county fair. I don't know why these things are publicly funded. From what I understand, my local fair is not publicly funded, which means taxpayer dollars. A lot of it comes from private dollars and private organizations funding the fair. If they do fund it, it's always a really small amount. I really hate the idea of a state fair. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just a terrible person, but I just hate the idea of using tax dollars for a fair. Funnel cakes, corn dogs, whatever. Now, they did lower the price of admission. Kids are getting in free. Kids under 12 are getting in for free. Adults and seniors, they get in for $2 on select days. And it all sounds great, right? But here's the catch. The discounted tickets are really because it's probably subsidized by you, the taxpayer, okay? You might not want to ever go to the state fair, but you're paying for it, and it's all subsidized by you, the Illinois state tax. I don't know why the fair, being that it charges admission, why it also needs taxpayer subsidies. I just don't get why there's not, if it's such a community-focused event, why aren't there organizations that put forward their money? Private organizations, these nonprofit organizations, why don't they take some of their donations and put it towards the event if it really is such a community thing? The Illinois Ag Director, Jerry Costello, beaming yesterday at the kickoff event, saying the fair showcases the $85.5 million from the Rebuild Illinois program, which was pitched to the taxpayer as an infrastructure bill. Okay, hard infrastructure bill, fixing up sidewalks and getting new restrooms at the Illinois State Fair wasn't really what taxpayers had in mind when they were doing the Rebuild Illinois program, or they pitched the Rebuild Illinois program. We were thinking roads and bridges. And there was another $55.3 million that came out of the Department of Agriculture budget. So we total that up. I'm not a calculator, but beep, boop, beep, beep, $140.8 million. Okay, folks, let's just be real here. This is not chump change. This is a major government investment, and this is a government production. And this year, what really grinds my gears about it is that they're dressing it up as if it's a budget-friendly fair. They're still charging for parking. I mean, they've got free parking for select days, but they're still charging admission. They're still like food items that cost you an arm and a leg. Though they have like $3 food items. I mean, we're not talking about repairing a fence at the state fair or upgrading a funnel cake stand. $140 million is a massive public investment, and they're selling it to you as accessible family fun, affordable fun, and it's only affordable. They were only able to give you all those discounts because they took the money from you in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, and like, I don't know. Maybe I'm like going crazy. Throw it in the comments section. I always feel like I'm going absolutely insane. These people are gaslighting me, into believing that like one, and we're going to get into what the state fair brought in because the numbers are kind of sketch anyway. So I don't really know if we can say it brought in $86 million. It's had $86 million in local and regional impact, economic impact. So that's like everything. That's like gas stations, hotels around the area. And you can't really they local, like economic impact is pulling together everything. So we really don't know how much this actually like brought in. I don't know how much it actually like brought in via revenue. So for the state, I think it like sales tax, it's definitely nowhere near the $140 million, I don't think. So all in all, I think that we're losing money on this thing. As far as like our taxpayer dollars, it's an investment. We're sinking in money into this thing, and we're not getting it really necessarily back. So I want to play this clip. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about the impact and how they're playing with your money like it's monopoly money. And, I wouldn't even be all that upset about it. I am not against like public events, government using money for public events. I'm not totally against it. I am kind of against it when it's like fun or entertainment. I feel like that's just belongs to the private sector. If it's like fun or entertainment. Now, if it's a public event where it's educational, I could probably justify taxpayer funds going to that. But like corn dogs and funnel cakes and carnival rides, should the taxpayers really be paying for that? Number one, and if we do, should we be in the hole? There's just so many questions I've got. So let's take a look at this video, this clip here.
If you look at those signs, you'll see the $85.5 million represented in the Rebuild Illinois program, as well as $55.3 million our Buildings and Grounds has taken out of the Illinois Department of Agriculture budget to revitalize these fairgrounds. Entertainment dollars, extracurricular dollars are being stretched very thin. I can tell you this, I promise you, because I get phone calls at times at 6 a.m. Governor Pritzker has hammered into us, make the fair affordable. He wants Illinoisans, regardless of income, to have a chance to experience the Illinois State Fair.
This state fair is one of my favorite events we host in Springfield. I first want, and I know we've said this multiple times a day, but everyone has to listen to the investment that our governor, J.B. Pritzker, has made onto these grounds in our great city. So one more time, I would like to thank him publicly, and I would like you to all join me in that for his investment to this facility. And a little birdie over there told me that this weekend, you will be hard-pressed to find a hotel room in this city because of the Illinois State Fair. That is what the State Fair brings to Springfield. Please come out, see the facilities, see the investment from the state. It's your tax dollars going to this wonderful facility.
We even, thanks to Governor Pritzker, are able to bring back the free grandstand concert on Monday night. And don't forget, parking every day is only $5 on our fairgrounds. We know that family budgets are tight, and that's why we've done everything we can to ensure that families who walk through these gates can create lasting memories without breaking the bank.
All right. Illinois families, they are trying to stretch every dollar. The government is spending 140 million like it's monopoly money, and then they pitch it like it's the most affordable fare and like it's super affordable. Yeah, with whose money? It's affordable only because you took the money. You took the taxpayers' money. Okay. You had the Springfield mayor there, Misty Busher, and she literally thanked Governor J.B. Pritzker for his investment. But in the same breath, she said it's your tax dollars. So she recognizes it's the tax dollars, but she and all the other state officials were constantly saying, thank you, Governor J.B. Pritzker. Thank you, Governor J.B. Pritzker. Like as if it's his money. Like I started to look up. I was like, did he actually privately fund this thing? He is a billionaire. Did he throw some of his own money at it? Oh no. They're just, confusing the public and trying to say that it's his investment. Really, it's our investment. That's our money, not his money. And the fairgoers, they go to see the facility and she says, oh, come see the investment from our state. Yeah, the taxpayer is the state. The state isn't investing it. The taxpayer is investing it. And, I don't like it when people pretend like the government writes checks from thin air. Okay, there is a political playbook out there, and here it is. Step 1, tax you. Step 2, spend your money. Step 3, ask for your applause. And it's just insulting to everybody's intelligence, I think. So what did the $140 million buy us? They got a renovated Coliseum, repaved roads, improved restrooms, pickleball tournaments, craft beer competitions, a literacy booth with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, a free Monday night concert, and I am not against fun, okay? I'm going to make that very clear. I'm not against fun, but I am against it when you sit there and you ask for us to clap like seals and you're not being honest. Really, it's very deceptive to say that, hey, let's thank Governor J.B. Pritzker for this. No, let's thank the taxpayers for this. Let me ask you, is this really what Illinois needs to be spending their money on, especially when we have billions in unpaid bills? Now, let me ask you this. If you didn't have an electric bill paid, if you didn't have a gas bill paid, food on the table, would you go to the Illinois State Fair and spend $50 on admissions and parking for your family? No, you wouldn't do that. Okay, so there's crumbling infrastructure. Outside of the fairgrounds, public pensions, of course, that's a crisis. Sure, fairs are great. I love funnel cakes. My favorite is French fries and an ice cold iced tea. Okay, but let's be honest, this isn't just about corn dogs and 4-H contests. This is about political optics. So I'll tell you why they're investing so much. It's because it's a 2026 election cycle. I'll tell you why they said, thank you, Governor J.B. Pritzker, so much. It's because it's a 2026 election cycle, and let's talk the numbers. Governor J.B. Pritzker said himself that the fair generated $86 million in economic impact. Now, here's the thing. That's not like hard revenue. So we're not just talking about the fair admission prices and the ticket sales, okay, in that number. That's everything, okay? So it's kind of an inflated number anyway. That's the number people spent in the region. So it's not, I don't think the state really made a profit on this. So and the way they talk, you would think that they made a state like a profit off of this. In fact, I think they might have lost money by the numbers I'm looking at here. 86 million in economic impact. That's not even really the math is fuzzy there. That includes hotel stays, restaurants, gas stations, and that's money not going back into the state budget. So it's just kind of activity. So I don't know. It's just so shocking to me that they say these things out loud in press conferences and out loud for everyone to hear. Okay, this is a state subsidized spectacle that politicians will use to campaign on, and that Governor J.B. Pritzker is 100% going to campaign on. And people say, oh well, what about the brand naming? And people know about Illinois, and you have these big names come to the grandstand concert. It's good for tourism, sure. It's not really measurable though. Okay, and a lot of the names are kind of boring, like Snoop Dogg, Chainsmokers. This is I don't know, very Brad Paisley. I'm not totally I like Brad Paisley, but I mean they're older artists. Okay, they're kind of has-beens, if I can use that term. I think that's objectively an accurate term to call Snoop Dogg. Okay. So we need to fix our roads. We need to work on giving parents tax breaks and really the carnival rides, concerts, and that it's just not justified. And then they expect you to say thank you. Okay, and that's what really bothers me. So the simple answer here is optics. Why now? Why this fair? Why all the money? It's optics. Illinois Democrats have been facing a lot of heat lately, budget issues, public safety problems with the Safety Act, rising utility costs. So what better way to distract and deflect than throw a big fair with low entry prices and flashy events? This is politics as usual. Use taxpayer money to buy voter goodwill. Okay, so sadly, many families, understandably, you're busy. This is why I'm doing the segment today. A lot of you are going to be fooled. A lot of you are going to be just glad to have some summer fun for a few dollars with the family. And you're not even realizing that you are footing the bill. And it's by design because they use terminology like his investment, the Pritzker administration investment. Really, it's your money. And the reason why you're having a good time there at that price is because you paid for it already. Okay, so not against fairs, not against state support for even public events, but I am against waste and the state spending $140 million on a fair and then trying to spin it as charity. That pisses me off, and I think it pisses you off. You're overtaxed, you're underserved, and we've got to speak up. The government doesn't create wealth, it redistributes yours. So the next time a politician offers you $2 admission and a smile, ask them how much it actually costed you behind the scenes. All right, folks, we have got to shift gears. Smash that like button, share this out with your friends, subscribe to the channel. As always, right behind me, you'll see the Patriot Pump bottle. You can support the program by either sending a super chat or going to patriotpumpenergy.com using promo code ConservativeCat to get your bottle of pre-workout today. This is not like any other energy drink. This is an energy drink replacement. This is a supplement. There's a lot of key ingredients in there, and it's not a super cheap drink, but it'll last you quite a while. It lasts me, and I drink it like every other day. It lasts me like a couple of months, something like that. So you get a few months supply out of the bottle, and it's really good stuff. I mean, it's definitely cheaper than buying a case of Red Bull. Okay, and you've got key ingredients in there that are quality. That's why it's a little pricey. It's not super pricey. With the promo code though, Conservative Cat, you get $10 off. So let's look at this. Democrats, they've done it again. Okay, this time not in Washington, but in Illinois, the Texas Democrats, they have fled. I've told you several times that this isn't anything new. The Texas Democrats have pulled this stunt before when it came to election integrity votes. And they fled to Washington, D.C. in 2021. Now they fled to Illinois. Okay. They didn't just walk off the job. They packed their bags. They booked a little political vacation, and then they ran away to Illinois. And that's our home turf. He can't make this stuff up. The Texas House has sued 33 Democrat lawmakers who fled to the land of Lincoln to block a vote on congressional redistricting. That's right. They don't want to face the music in Texas, so they're hiding in Chicago like it's a political witness protection program. Today, we're going to break it all down, why the left, or why they left, why the Texas Democrats left, what Texas is doing about it, what it means for your vote in 2026. Spoiler alert, it's not protecting democracy. Okay, they didn't leave to protect democracy like they'll tell you. They are holding on to power by any means necessary. That's what's going on. So let me explain this for you. Let's start at the beginning. The Texas legislature is in special session. So Governor Greg Abbott, he wants to deal with not only the flood aid for flood victims, but there are 18 legislative items. And one of the biggest items, of course, is the congressional redistricting, but also on there is the flood aid for victims and a few other things. Okay, so the Texas Republicans have a chance to redraw the map. Okay, and I know they're doing it mid-decade, which I'm not a crazy fan of. However, given the 2020 census, so this is actually what Donald Trump came out and talked about just a couple of days ago, the 2020 census. Some of these blue states, what they were doing was including illegal immigrants in that census. Okay, so when you use the census to draw the maps, you're using like population. You shouldn't be using illegal immigrants, obviously, illegal immigrants in those numbers and in the redistricting, because they can't vote in federal elections. Okay, this is a federal election, Congress, so you cannot use illegal immigrants when redistricting. And in 2020, when they did the U.S. Census the last time, there were blue states that were using illegal immigration, red states that were using illegal immigrants, calculating them into the census. So there's been a lot of things that happened under the Joe Biden administration. Not only that, but there's been mass exodus from blue states into red states like Texas, like Florida. And given this population influx, not only from illegal immigrants, but also from the blue state residents who are fleeing their states, Texas said, you know what, the Republicans, they said, we have a chance to redraw the map. Let's redraw the map. And this could potentially flip up to 5 seats in the U.S. House from blue to red in 2026 for the midterms. Okay, so that's a big shift of balance of power. In balance of power, it's not like ginormous. Okay, it's big, but there's still plenty of Democrat seats left in Texas, way more than the ratio here in Illinois from Democrats to Republicans. We only have 3 Republican seats for now. We'll have to see if Governor J.B. Pritzker, like Governor Gavin Newsom, retaliates about Texas redrawing their maps and then draws out those 3 Republican districts. So these Democrat lawmakers have decided to hop on a plane, hide out in Illinois, and they decided not to do their jobs. So in Texas, the Constitution says if there's a call of the House issued, so a special session, the lawmakers who don't show up can be arrested, not criminally, but civilly. Okay, so there can be a civil arrest. And they can be brought back to the chamber to do their job. And that rule is there in the Constitution. Why? Because it's to stop these sort of political stunts. So the House Speaker, Dustin Burrows, signed an arrest warrant, several civil arrest warrants for 56 Democrats. Okay. Now, some have trickled back. Okay. But there are still 33 who are right here in the state of Illinois refusing to return. So this is where the legal fireworks start. And I want to break this down for you. So Texas says, fine. You want to hide out in Illinois? We'll see you in Illinois court. So this 16-page lawsuit, this is in Adams County with the help of our very own Illinois State Senator Jill Tracy. She's a Republican from Quincy. This was filed. Okay, so Texas filed it with the help of Illinois State Senator Jill Tracy. And the goal is to have the Illinois courts honor the Texas warrants, the civil arrest warrants that I was talking about that the House Speaker had signed. The Texas House Speaker, and they want the Illinois courts to honor those arrest warrants as if they were issued here. Now that can be done, and it's under something called full faith credit clause, okay, of the U.S. Constitution, which is basically means that states are supposed to respect each other's laws and their official acts. Okay, that is what that clause is all about. And that's the crux of the lawsuit. Okay, so Texas is arguing that Illinois has a constitutional duty to help return those runaway lawmakers, the 33 that remain here in the state. The lawsuit even throws Illinois' own Attorney General Kwame Raoul's words back at him, his words right back at him. He said, and I quote, "In Illinois, the rule of law matters, and law enforcement must have a legitimate basis to arrest someone." Texas says, great, here's our legitimate basis, the full faith credit clause, okay, in the U.S. Constitution that says that Illinois is constitutionally obligated and they have a duty to help us arrest people. And they threw it right back at them. Texas did. They said, great, here's our legitimate basis. Now hand them over. So this is where Illinois could ultimately become a political shield or prove that it actually respects the rule of law. What do you think Illinois is going to do? So the official Democrat talking point is that they're protecting democracy, right? And they're stopping an unfair redistricting map. But here's the truth. This is about protecting their own seats and protecting their own power. Okay, this is not about protecting voters. This is about breaking quorum, which is anti-democracy. And they're just slowing down the process, and they're stopping every single bill in the session. Okay, like I said, they were supposed to be talking about 18 legislative issues, and they are stopping every single bill in that special session from being debated and passed. And that means there is going to be no progress on public safety bills. There's budget items. There's property tax relief. There's election integrity bills that they have to look at. Nothing. None of that's going to be looked at this special legislative session. The food or the flood aid. Okay, the flood aid to the victims in Texas. They're not going to get that. Why? Because the lawmakers are in their cozy Chicago hotels. And who's going to be suffering? The farmers, the small business owners, the parents, the people who they are supposed to be representing in that state. That's who's suffering. Okay, so let's take a look at this. The case is bigger than Texas. Illinois now has a chance to honor another state's lawful warrants, okay, or make itself the official safe haven for politicians on the run. So they have a choice. They can either honor a lawful warrant, arrest warrant, or they can make themselves, the state of Illinois can be the official safe haven for illegal activity, really, for politicians who are on the run and have arrest warrants out on them. Okay, so think about that. If Illinois says, no, thanks, Texas, we won't help you, what stops a lawmaker from any state skipping town whenever they don't like the bills that are on the table? Okay, so a lot of states have something like a quorum. We even do. But right now, you just need like a simple majority quorum. Here in the state of Illinois, we don't have a 2/3 majority for a quorum like Texas does. There was a constitutional amendment brought by Ryan Spain. Talked about that yesterday. Go check it out on the archives. To become more like Texas in the 2/3 quorum, because it seems like Governor J.B. Pritzker really likes that they are needed for quorum, and that these Texas Democrats are heroes for breaking quorum. So he seems to like that rule, when it benefits his party, the quorum rule. What Texas really needs to do is maybe do a constitutional amendment or ballot initiative where they get rid of quorum. I like quorum. It keeps the supermajority at bay. In the state of Illinois, we have quorum rules, but a lot of times they even waive the weak quorum rules that we already have, which is just a simple majority, not the 2/3 majority that Texas has. So, I mean, here in the state of Illinois, they just kind of like say screw you to the rules. They don't play by their own rules that they set. So I'm kind of like, who cares about quorum, because Illinois doesn't. Illinois supermajority doesn't anyway. So it's a political sanctuary. If they say no thanks to Texas, they become a political sanctuary, just like the sanctuary cities for the illegal immigrants. Illinois will be known for harboring politicians who cross state lines to dodge the job that the voters elected them to do. Illinois has become known for harboring people who crossed the border and have border jumped, but now we're going to be known for harboring politicians who refuse to do the job that the voters elected them to do and pay them to do, by the way. Okay, so let's see. I do want to talk about how this isn't an isolated stunt. We've seen this before. Wisconsin Democrats did this in 2011 over union bills. Oregon Republicans did this in 2019 over climate legislation. But here's the big difference. And I feel like a lot of the mainstream doesn't talk about this. The big difference is that when Republicans have done this, the media screams about dereliction of duty. But when the Democrats do it, all of a sudden this is like a brave, resilient resistance, and that they are heroes. And, that's what the talking points in the media are all about right now. how these Democrats are heroes and how they're protecting democracy. When the Republicans have done this, like the Oregon Republicans did in 2019 over the climate issues and climate legislation, they were constantly berated in the media for not doing their duty and not showing up for their job. So it's part of a bigger pattern. Rewrite the rules, stall the process, paint themselves as heroes in the press while the people's business grinds to a screeching halt. This is all, they've always done this, the Democrats. Now, Republicans have done it too, but the big difference is that they don't try to paint themselves as heroes in the press, okay? And the media doesn't paint them as heroes in the press, the Republicans, when they do it. So I want to hear from you. Should Illinois cooperate with Texas and send these lawmakers back, or should states be able to block each other's lawful warrants like this? So should they be able to block each other like this, like what Illinois is currently doing? If you're in Texas, how do you feel about your reps hiding out in Chicago instead of showing up for you? And if you're in Illinois, do you want your state to be the political hideout of the nation for these politicians who don't do the job that the voters elected them to do? How do you feel about it? Throw it in the comment section. Drop a comment below, share this episode, and tag a friend in Texas. They deserve to know what's going on, and tag a friend who lives in Illinois as well. So my final thoughts here. Bottom line, our system only works if elected officials show up, when lawmakers can't just run away when they don't like a vote or they know they're going to lose a vote. Okay, our system only works when we actually participate in this little thing called democracy, and not what we currently have, which is manipulation. So we stand for accountability here at the Conservative Cat Show, the rule of law, for the voice of the people, not this political hide and seek. And Illinois better not decide to be the Democrat getaway driver in this story. Okay, it sets a very dangerous precedent for every state in the union. If they just said, no thanks, Texas, we have to honor and respect other states' laws and lawful arrest warrants. We have to do that. We have to have cooperation, because guess what? We are the United States of flippin' America. Okay, this is not Pritzker-stan. We are still a part of the union. This sets a very dangerous precedent, and it divides us. If Illinois just says, no thanks, Texas, we're not going to listen to your rule of law and to your laws and to your lawful arrest warrants. I do want to shift gears. We are going to be talking about a federal judge temporarily blocking the ongoing construction of Alligator Alcatraz. Really, the reason is gay. You guys know the show. I use that term. I'm not going to, shy away from it. You can call me a homophobe in the comments if you want. We used to be able to say the word gay to mean like, okay, that's stupid. In 2012, we used to use the word all the time. So this is really stupid. The reason why they're blocking the construction of Alligator Alcatraz, we don't even really know the reason why, because they haven't released the docket. So the factual, or like the laws that they cited as to the reason why the construction cannot go on. The project was originally spearheaded by Governor Ron DeSantis, and it's technically a state-owned endeavor using state land, and they've continued to expand it in months after Donald Trump visited and the Trump administration began using it as part of a joint venture to house and deport illegal immigrants. Okay, so this is like a state-owned thing, a state endeavor using state land. This is not a federal, like an initiative of Donald Trump. I want to make that clear. This is Ron DeSantis cooperating with the federal government, and they are participating in this joint venture to house and deport illegals. Okay, so that's very important. Now, this judge cited environmental harm as a reason why she's like temporarily blocking the construction of this. Okay, they are blocking further progress from being made for the time being. and I will get to the ruling here on the other side. I got to take a quick break. Smash that like button, share this out with your friends. I'll be right back. Hey, you're listening to the Conservative Cat Clips. This is the place where we don't call 911 first. Nope, we pray, we prepare, and yes, we pack heat. Every time there's a tragedy, the media and the Democrats, they start crying, do something, and do something. And what they mean is more laws, more bans, and more restrictions, not on criminals, mind you, but on law-abiding citizens. So let me tell you what evil doesn't care about. They don't care about legislation. The man willing to break the sixth commandment, thou shalt not murder, doesn't blink twice at your AR-15 ban. Okay, he doesn't read your gun-free zone signs. He sees those signs and he says, this is an invitation for me. Gun control doesn't stop evil. It disarms good people. The founding fathers didn't give us the Second Amendment so we could go hunting. They gave us the Second Amendment to protect ourselves against tyrants, both foreign and domestic. And newsflash, tyrants don't tend to announce themselves. They come wearing smiles and waving around fancy policies. And I also want to talk about self-defense today. Self-defense. The average police response time in big cities like Chicago could be up to 10 minutes, sometimes even longer. I know the Chicago PD is really struggling with that. Response times in rural areas, it could get up to even 30 minutes response time. So if somebody kicks down your door, are you going to ask them to wait until the government sends backup to protect you, or are you going to protect your family and take matters into your own hands? So grandma, okay, in Peoria, Illinois, she is just trying to defend her property, but yet she's the one treated like a criminal. She has to go through all kinds of crazy background checks, permits, training. And the thug in Chicago, he gets the gun out of his trunk in an alley, and he didn't think twice about our laws, okay? It's about power. It always has been. Every dictatorship in history has disarmed their citizens first. First, that's Stalin, that's Hitler, that's Mao. They didn't want competition. And once the guns were gone, so were the rights, the freedom, and the people. So a disarmed people is a controlled people. But an armed, faithful, and free people, that is a nightmare for tyrants. And really, it's a blessing to your neighbors if you are armed. The Second Amendment isn't outdated. It's eternal. And just like evil, just like our right, just like the evil has the right to do evil things, and that they will, we have the right to resist evil and to arm ourselves. And the Second Amendment is pretty dang clear, shall not be infringed. This has been Conservative Cat Clips. Hey, smash that like button, share this out with your friends. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and then also follow me on Rumble. If you guys could go on over to Rumble and follow me there, that'd be great. I want to get to this, a ruling by U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams. This is a 2-week pause on any new construction at the facility in the Everglades, the Alligator Alcatraz facility. Okay, so this follows a hearing in a lawsuit filed by an environmental groups, plural. They joined the Mikowski tribe of Indians, the environmental groups, and there were just several groups that had launched this lawsuit. And we all know, for background, that this is a state-owned endeavor. They are using state land. They're essentially working with the Trump administration, working with the federal government to enforce federal law, to house and deport illegal aliens. Okay, so this is what the Friends of the Everglades, this is one of those environmental groups I was talking about, their executive director said, "We're pleased that the judge saw the urgent need to put a pause on additional construction. We look forward to advancing our ultimate goal of protecting the unique Everglades ecosystem from further damage caused by this mass detention facility." Okay, so as of today, I checked right before I got on. I couldn't find it. There is no specific ruling that's been uploaded yet to the docket about the specific environmental laws that they were allegedly possibly in violation of, and that the judge has deemed has been violated the environmental laws. Okay, I don't know those yet. So many are suspecting, of course, that this has nothing really to do with the environment. This is just, again, they're covering this up, but with the guise of environment, and that this is bad for the environment. Really what's going on here is they're trying to throw up a roadblock in the way of President Donald Trump's immigration enforcement in front of ICE and ICE agents. They're just trying to throw up roadblocks, okay, at this point. Now, I don't know the exact environmental laws, but I mean, come on. This has got nothing to do with the environment, okay? One of the Democrats, actually, and how do I know that? One of the Democrats who testified at this hearing for the lawsuit in favor of the plaintiffs, so in favor of the environmental groups and the Indian tribes or whatever, she testified, okay, and she's not leaving much room for doubt on that front, where, all of us are thinking the same thing. We're all suspecting the same thing, that they are just, again, trying to throw up a roadblock to stop the enforcement of the federal law, to deport illegal immigrants. Here's what Florida State Representative Anna Escamani said. She is a Democrat in Florida. She testified at the hearing in support of the environmental groups, but she called this, quote, a necessary and welcome step to stopping a project that never should have been approved in the first place. She goes on. She says this facility is not only a threat to the most environmentally sensitive regions in the country, it is also a glaring example of how far the state of Florida will go to criminalize immigrants and ignore the long-term health of our natural resources. So this is what that state representative said in a statement. She testified at the hearing. She's pretty much giving a nod to the criminalizing of immigrants in this case as being, the reason why they want to shut this down. Okay, so she has already come out in these statements and said that it's necessary. This is a necessary and welcome step to stop the project that never should have been approved in the first place. Okay, so she's kind of proving my point here that this has nothing to do with environmental concerns. I mean, it's kind of a dead giveaway. Okay, this woman testified at the hearing and she made statements like this, that this is a way to criminalize immigrants. Okay, and that the state of Florida will stop at nothing to criminalize them. Whatever actual issues may exist, it's not a mystery what the goal is here. Okay, so if there is an actual issue with environmental laws being violated, I don't know because I don't have the docket in front of me, but I'm sure that the goal here is the same. Okay, they can cite the environmental problems all they want, and in my opinion, this is just a lawsuit clearly meant to cap the knees or to kneecap ICE agents and to slow down deportations and slow down the deportations of illegal immigrants. Okay, so they're just using this as a vehicle. Okay, and consider me less than convinced that there is an actual environmental problem with this project, because when you look at this thing, this airfield has already been built for years, by the way. Okay, it was abandoned. They revitalized it for the purpose of deporting illegal immigrants. And the land is already there. The airstrip has been there for a while. And, all they really did was place tents there. Okay, and then they developed a little part of the tarmac. And the only problem that I would see with the environment issue would be maybe like wastewater, okay, and dumping that into the Everglades potentially, because, the immigrants have to go to the bathroom. Where are they going to go to the bathroom? Are they dumping the wastewater in the other Everglades? But I suspect that this Obama-appointed judge is going to rule in favor of the plaintiffs, regardless of the facts that are on the ground there, and regardless of the environmental laws that they may or may not be in violation of, because let's be honest, the goal here is to stop Donald Trump's enforcement of federal law. And from here, what's going to happen next? There's going to be an automatic appeal. I'm sure it's already immediately repealed or appealed. And from there, we'll have to see where it goes. But this shouldn't surprise us. We knew that there was going to be a roadblock to Alligator Alcatraz, that some environmentalist group or some leftist organization would sue, and they did. But this isn't going to be a surprise to us, DeSantis, Donald Trump. We'll have to see where it goes from here. All right, bringing on my lovely friend, David Paul Blumenshine.
There she is.
How you
Hey,
doing?
I'm here. I made it. Woo!
He sure did. It is Friday. It is Friday.
Friday.
DPB right over there with the David Paul Blumenshine, or with the DPB show. So David Paul Blumenshine with the DPB show. Go check out DPB show on YouTube, X, Facebook. He's on Rumble.
Yep.
Be sure to subscribe right now. Do it right now so you don't forget. Okay, David, how are you?
Yes.
What was your
Chad,
morning?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? I've been enjoying the show so far.
Yeah. Did you hear about the Illinois State Fair? Are you going to the Illinois State Fair, JB?
I didn't. I was hoping that I would have been there yesterday because I would have grabbed both hot dogs out of his hand and said, "JB, this is what you believe in. I'm taking both mustard and ketchup."
Yeah.
Why did Greg Bishop shy away from taking one? And so did Jeremy from the Chicago Tribune. I was watching the video. It gags me how those guys just like literally shine his shoes. I was going to say lick his boots, but
Yeah.
shine
Well,
his shoes.
I don't know. Well, I know that, and here is something like they shy away from taking like anything. Like as a reporter myself, as a former reporter, journalist, I would shy away from taking any kind of like, even if I was out at like an event, like in a professional capacity as a reporter. Now I used to go to Darren Bailey events and cover them, and like that was for my talk show. But I'd shy.
And you would sneak a brownie at Darren Bailey events.
Yeah. If I wasn't, as an official capacity reporting for an article of some kind, then yeah, I'd sneak a brownie or take a T-shirt. You know what I mean? But like in an official capacity,
Well, yeah, I get it.
For journalists to take like things from politicians or things from like.
But but JB knows that, right?
Yeah, JB. I mean,
JB's not stupid.
know that,
I mean,
but,
let's
and this is what people with power
manipulative. Yeah.
love to do. And being a journalist, like they do this stuff all the time. Like politicians, when you have them, sitting across from you and you're interviewing them. I mean, I encountered it several times as a former reporter where they'd come up and invite you out to drinks, invite you out to dinner, and they like really try to befriend you. And it's really bizarre. Like I'll even have them like say, "How you doing, Kat? How's my favorite reporter doing?" And it's all a tactic, right? So that way you don't report on them negatively. So, but I don't know about you, David. I don't do ketchup on my corn dog. I think that's nasty. Mustard only.
You know what? If I'm taking one corn dog, I'm taking two. I'll just put them together, ketchup and mustard. It's meant to be ketchup and mustard. Kat, that's a good point that you bring up, in regards to the professionalism of journalism. However, Stephen Colbert did not seem to mind, and I don't know if you call that guy a journalist. I mean, obviously, I call him a lapdog to the DNC and another radical leftist, but he didn't have a problem calling JB out, which I know that the reporters down, whether it's, Greg does a decent job. What's his name from Capital News? My buddy that liked to write about me during January 6th, he and Annie at Washington Post. What's the guy's name at Capital News? The popular guy. What's his name? He's been there forever. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I don't care about his name. But Jeremy, obviously, I've seen him at so many events. He was at the RNC last year trying to get a gotcha on Mary Miller, because they were doing everything. I mean, it was a full court press from the media trying to get a scoop on Donald Trump. I mean, it was August of last year. Think about that, where we were at. I just covered this on my show yesterday. The momentum was on our side. Joe Biden was eating ice cream on the beach, stumbling around with his lawn chair, and they were trying to replace Biden with Kamala. I mean, so real journalism, I don't know. What's Washington Post?
Real journalism is truly like you have the back of your fellow citizens. So it's supposed to be adversarial in nature, Republican, Democrat, but I just have the backs. In my mind, I would think that a journalist should be having the back of the citizenry at large, and not the people in power, not corporations, not reporting favorably for corporations or government. Anybody in a position of power, you have to be adversarial with those people, Republican, Democrat alike. Now it just so happens that some Republicans, I wouldn't even say most Republicans in Illinois, it just so happens that some Republicans in Illinois happen to have the same stance the reporters do, that they should be adversarial. So like the representative that comes to mind, Blaine Wilhauer, Adam Niemerg, they tend to be very adversarial with government of all kinds. Okay, Republicans, their Republican colleagues, in some cases, or the Democrats, or even their Republican colleagues. So when a politician has that same stance, that's where you're like, okay, I'm going to report on what this guy is saying. And I'm not going to be super adversarial with what this guy is saying, because he's backing the people, the same people I am, so the citizenry. Now, if they do something that goes against the citizenry or their constituency, then you'd have to report on them negatively, or like be more adversarial with those types of people. That's the way I view it. Just being adversarial with power. And there's only a few politicians I've ever met in my lifetime that are adversarial with power. So not very many, you being one of them. So people don't know how I met you. I actually met you and you didn't really know who I was. I was a reporter for WZND. It was a internship at college. And I was sitting there and I was actually teaching a fellow reporter of mine how to do a news article and how to report. And I was sitting there listening to you and Dan Brady in the debate, and the things that you were saying, like, the taxation issue. I think that you talked about gas taxes at the time. This is all stuff that the citizenry really cares about. And I went up and I interviewed you because I was like, yeah, this guy has the same interest, which is the people, so that's why I wanted to talk to you. And I didn't report on you adversarially, like in an adversarial way, because you took the position of being pro-constituency, and pro-taxpayer, really. So that's my position on it.
Well, and I can only imagine at that time, Kat, from a perspective of someone running for office against an incumbent, and as you just mentioned, Blaine Wilhauer and Adam Niemerg, Representative Niemerg, Representative Wilhauer, they're in pretty safe districts. I was running against a incumbent who happened to be part of the Uni Party, right, in Illinois. It's part of what created the debacle that we have. I felt like, that I guess the best analogy to use is, as a kid, I could only imagine that my family took off in the car and left the house, and they didn't realize I was in the car. And all I did was run to try to catch up with them to get into the car. That was my candidacy, right? Because ultimately, whether we like it or not, the government as it is currently set up, it's in control. It doesn't represent the people. In fact, I don't see, even now, I think that on the federal level, that's what Trump is trying to beat back, is the bureaucracy. At the state level, these people get elected. They don't, for the most part, they're not there for us.
No.
I had an interview last Friday with a young lady that we both know. She goes to church with us. And she said that she's a journalist. I'll give her a shout out. She writes for Breitbart. You know who it is. And she said, I have no desire to run for public office. I said, then you're my type of candidate. And she seemed shocked, because I don't want people who want to go to Springfield, who want to go to Washington, D.C., who want to go to the city council. I want people that are there for the people in their neighborhood, their next door neighbor, and they truly want to represent them. And that's unfortunate. When I was running, I was behind the eight ball. I was going against a 8-term incumbent who did everything in his power to glad hand everyone and to try to make friends with everyone, even though he can't remember your name after he meets you. Yeah, I mean that was. But I'm sorry, I took liberties, Kat. Go ahead.
No, you're exactly right, and that kind of brings me to a clip I want you to react to. So I actually used to be anti-term limits.
Yeah.
So I think that would be something. And my husband and I, we were talking about this yesterday because I just can't wrap my head around all these commissions and boards and, how they create all these commissions and boards full of lobbyists and why the politicians need the lobbyists so damn bad, And some of these lobbying groups, I'm not totally anti lobbying because we need people to represent us to go advocate for our issues. For example, the Illinois Pork Association, right? They represent and advocate for pork farmers. Pork farmers are very important. We love our corn dogs. I think those are pork, right?
Chicken, a little chicken, a little pork, a little beef,
a little cat,
whatever comes up off of the floor of the
right. So it's really important. But it's gotten so big, and part of that is the gerrymandering, which we'll get to here this morning as well.
Oh boy!
But I think that it's impossible to travel your district, okay, especially when you have to go through 4 or 5 districts just to get to your district or the other side of your district. So your districts have gotten really big and kind of impossible to canvass. So you kind of need a point person, and you kind of need these organizations to go lobby on your behalf. But what has gotten bad is that these lobbying groups, they're not farmers, right? The Illinois Corn Association or whatever. Some of these people who sit on, these boards of these lobbying associations, they've never touched a combine. They've never touched a damn corn stalk in their life. Okay, they're so far removed from it, and they're lobbying for things that really aren't in the interest of the farmers. And we just don't feel represented. And it used to be more like, you had farmers and doctors and just your neighbors who were going to represent you. They'd go for a couple of years and they'd talk to their constituents, and then they'd bring their constituent concerns to the floor. Now it's not like that. Now you have like a middleman bringing your concerns to the floor, but it's not even really your concerns. And you have this representative who's never seen you a day in your life, right? They don't go door to door. They just talk with the lobbying groups. And I don't know how you combat that other than term limits. Yep. I think that would be term limits, not just for legislators, but possibly the lobbyists themselves. So I need to show you this clip, David, and I need you to react.
All right.
This is Nancy. Nancy.
So wow.
Let me set this up.
She put herself together like that, or did she?
Oh, it gets worse. It gets much worse. So this was yesterday, and she went up to a San Francisco hospital to support the veterans on Purple Heart Day. Mm-hmm. And she was taking questions, outside of the hospital there, the Veterans Hospital, and they were asking her about her support for gender affirming care for so-called transgender people. And she answered the questions, and they asked her how she felt about the future of gender affirming care, considering the funding pauses for gender affirming care in Florida, thanks to the Trump administration. Okay, so there's been a lot of federal funding that's been paused or has been eliminated for gender affirming care. So let's take a listen. Here we go.
Responding to the pauses in gender affirming care here in California.
Well, that is something that I'm working for at the national level, and we have, how can I say, are hoping that we can have gender affirming care for our trans kids. And
for trans kids,
it's a sad
new
thing
group
for
of
us.
people.
I'm not totally. I don't know what effect we can have nationally with what we have going on in the White House and in the Congress. It's really very sad. If you were there, outside our door, we have a trans flag. Outside of our door in the the office, congressional office building, we have the trans flag, as do some of our other colleagues. But that view is not necessarily shared by people on the other side of the aisle.
Because it's unnatural, Nancy.
I mean, come on. When I watched that clip, I thought to myself, man, the mental acuity on this woman is serving in government. I mean,
it's just not. I mean, it is. You're right. Term limits is critical. There's a great book out written by a guy locally that we both know, Scott Murphy, Term Limit Revolution, where he talks about the cover actually is a cartoonish cover drawn by my brother, my oldest brother, Mark. He did the cover for Term Limit Revolution, and it's got Nancy screaming with her hat out, just like that, just like you pictured her there. But her eyes were open. A different Nancy on the cover of the Term Limit Revolution. But he makes so many great points on why it is we need term limits. This is when I first read the book, but that's why I ran against Dan Brady. And you talk about the lobbyist. Most of the politicians, after they retire, for the most part, they get jobs with lobbyists. Why do they get jobs with lobbyists? Because they were favorable.
So much time to develop those relationships. I mean, if you're in office, how long was Dan Brady in office for?
Well, I mean,
still in office.
20 plus years. Tim Butler comes to mind because he ended up with the railroad lobby. And, you know, he went from making $79,000 to $80,000 a year to making well over $200,000 a year. That's why they do it, Kat. I mean, it's everything these people do is about enriching themselves. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, well,
best intentions
for term limits, because I always thought to myself, well, if the voters wanted them out, they could kick these people out if they wanted to. But it's gotten so bad where it's this incestual relationship with the lobbying groups, and they grow this relationship over the course of decades. And then they get out, and then they wind up being, $200,000 salary on, some board.
But not only that, the party protects you. I mean, you got to realize whether it's a Democrat or Republican party, and it's on both sides of the aisle. Mike Johnson did it for certain candidates in Illinois. They protect the people that they know are going to get along with what they have envisioned, not with the American people. So it's really hard to overcome an incumbency when they have as much money, because you and I both know, and it's really sad because people are watching here today, and for the most part, the people who watch you and I, they're in the know, right? They get it. They track. A lot of people don't follow this. They see JB Pritzker with his smile, and the guy makes, he's not like Nancy Pelosi. You can understand what he's saying. Of course, he's manipulative, but he does it with a smile on his face. You were talking about a tyrant. That's how they play this game. Mm-hmm. They literally show up places. They glad hand, they smile, they pretend like they really care, because that's what keeps them employed or in office.
Well, and what's really sad is a lot of these people in office, I would say definitely at the State House, and I've witnessed it, where you have staffers who are whispering in their ears, and especially at the point of Nancy Pelosi, if you get into your 80s, like Dick Durbin, right? And there are several members at a congressional level where they're, well into their 80s. Nancy Pelosi, she actually said this. She filed for re-election in 2026 on the grounds that, quote, San Francisco has needs, and that's what's prompted her to stay and run for another term. Okay, but
because there's nobody else that could do the job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to let somebody take
44 million people, and that's the best that California has in that congressional district.
I know, it's wild to me.
I mean, there's not a 20-something, 30-something, 40-something person out there who has put their
I'll take
time in,
60s.
we're on a county board, or, you know, who understands the legislative process. Not that you have to. I mean, a businessman could come into any one of these offices.
I'd prefer that.
Well, and so would I. I mean, we're seeing that with the president of the United States. He never held a public office until he was elected president of the United States. What did he know? Well, he knew exactly how to grow an economy, because at the end of the day, if your economy isn't prosperous, then what do you have? You have chaos in the streets. Oh, that's what we have in most of our big cities right now, run by politicians, bureaucrats.
Yeah, I want to talk about this. It actually brings me to this. You know, Hillary Clinton. A lot of people spell her name Hillary Clinton.
Hillary.
They put an extra L-I in there. It's Hillary, Hllary. But some people spell it Hiliary, something like that. Hillary. It's actually spelled Hllary. But Hillary, she has gotten out there, and we're talking about Governor J.B. Pritzker today, and all of the press conference for the Illinois State Fair. I mean, I was watching clips, and people are just like thanking him. They're like saying "God bless," or not. They didn't
groveling.
Like, it was embarrassing. Like, and then I started to think to myself, I almost
Hail to the king.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, wait a second. They're like thanking him for his investment, and that's what they kept repeating. And I started to think to myself, did JB like set up like private donations or something for the Illinois State Fair? Is he paying for it out of pocket? Like, that's how bad the groveling and like that.
Is JB getting a salary from the state of Illinois? Has JB lost any money because of his endeavors as a governor in Illinois?
No, that definitely no. I don't know if he's collecting a salary, but he's definitely gotten richer since he's been in office, right? He's outside of President Donald Trump, I think, the richest politician.
Oh, I think he is the richest. Yeah, I think he's got more money than Donald. Donald's actually lost money in the last 8 years.
The story. So Hillary gets out there, and I like Hillary better because she's notorious for telling falsehoods, whether that's the Russia collusion, that Donald Trump colluded with
33,000 emails, tipping tables at her reception that she thought she was going to win, screaming and obscenities at her staff, throwing vases in the White House at Bill because she found out that Bill she was standing by her man.
Yeah. Well, that
with a hammer in her hand.
the Benghazi matter, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's just notorious for lying. And
Yes.
Those are big whoppers of a lie, I would say. The collusion, the email server, all of that, the list goes on. But on every day, I check out her social media, and she just tells these like little lies. And she's a twice failed presidential candidate. She's very bitter. And I think this is why she lies so much. It's because she's so freaking bitter. Let me share this ex with you, her latest. She says, most Americans are worried about the cost of groceries. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is spending $200 million of taxpayers' money to build the Golden Ballroom. Okay, so to catch our listeners up, we know that the White House State Ballroom will be a much needed, so this is from the Levitt press conference, a much needed and exquisite addition of approximately 90,000 total square feet. Donald Trump had revealed and teased really this news for a couple of weeks that they were going to build a grand ballroom. Okay. And it's going to be constructed in the White House. They don't have one. I didn't know that. That's fascinating to me, but it's going to have a capacity of 650 people, which is a significant increase from the 200 person seated capacity in the East Room. So it's not a ballroom, but it's just kind of like a conference center where they can like gather 200 people. This is going to be an actual ballroom, and they can gather 650 people. So she said, over the last few weeks, Donald Trump has held meetings with numerous departments to discuss design features and planning. She also talked about how there are the McCreary architects. So these are very well-known architects in Washington, D.C., and they're known for their classical design. But here's the key here. Levitt was very clear in her press conference that this is all coming from private money Okay. Private donations, Donald Trump himself, and private donors. Okay. So this is not going to be used for taxpayer dollars. Both Trump and the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, and this was fact checked like by Snopes, okay, by leftist organizations. They found these claims that Hillary Clinton had made on her X account false. Private donors are going to pay for the project. The Rapid Response 47X account, the official count of the Trump administration, wrote on July 31st that this is going to be fully funded by President Donald Trump himself and private donors, not the taxpayers. So there is a big difference between somebody like JB and Donald, and Hillary's out there lying. But I found it fascinating where they were like, his investment. JB is investing in the Illinois State Fair. And like, this was $140 million, which is kind of damn close to the $200 million that the ballroom is going to take.
Well, so the proof's in the pudding. So whatever JB invests, private money, public money, his own money, take that 200 million, Kat. I understand construction. Obviously, I've been in brokering real estate for 30 plus years. I have built a couple projects, spec homes, and pre-sold homes, building one right now for my wife and I. Kat, when you spend 200 million, the 200 million actually goes to the people, the working class people, to pay their salaries, to pour foundations, for lumber suppliers, for roofers, for carpenters, for electricians, for heating and cooling guys, for plumbers. Who is Hillary talking about can't afford groceries? How do you pay for groceries? You get a job. Hillary's idea of the 200 million should just be dropped out of a transport plane above the ghettos where she loves to cater to those people, where they don't have to show up and do anything but just get in a line and get goods and services, usually crappy food that is not helping the health of any of those people. But
well, they think that money comes out of thin air. I mean, like they fundamentally just don't understand money at all. And not to mention, like you said, it's going to all the workers, the 200 million that Donald Trump is
200 million. Yeah.
Giving it, but like it's also helping the public. So this is seating 650 people. This is the people's house. Okay. The White House is the people's house.
Yeah.
And if we're seating 200 people right now, maximum capacity, I mean, anything that allows us to seat more people into the White House and get more bodies in there is a good thing. And especially if we don't have to pay for it and Donald Trump's doing it.
Well, and we're paying for it. Well, we're paying for it because if they have an event where, they can't seat as many people as they'd like, they have to go off site. Once again, not a bad idea. But security wise, it's easier to secure and it's more cost effective to secure the perimeter of the White House than it is a luxury hotel where they have to have a ballroom that seats 600 people. Now, granted, everybody benefits again. Once again, the servers, the hotel, all of this is how money works. You don't get something for nothing, Hillary. And that's what they have a hard time wrapping their heads around.
Yeah.
The 200 million spent is an investment into the people in the area of Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
These people are benefiting from a construction project of that capacity. No different than right here locally where you and I live. We are benefiting from a construction project across from Rivian. Why? Concrete trucks are rolling. People are employed, union and non-union employees. I mean, it fascinates me how they look at this as a negative thing, spending 200 million, whether it's taxpayer funded or privately funded.
Yeah.
It's back into the economy.
Yeah.
It flows back into the economy.
Something about the Illinois State Fair rubs me the wrong way, though, because when we're, spending taxpayer money, this is a totally separate issue. You're spending taxpayer money. This was 140 billion of taxpayer dollars. 50 something odd billion came out of the Department of Ag coffers, and then you had the Rebuild Illinois program, which was pitched to us as the taxpayers of hard infrastructure. They used it to, repave some sidewalks and restrooms and stuff for the Illinois State Fairgrounds, right? So, set all that aside, they have the numbers and they pitched these numbers out publicly, and they talked about this very publicly, and that's what's so shocking to me. Like, they think that you're dumb, and they think that you lack an ability to understand basic numbers. So 140 million is what was sunk into this. And then they talk about the 86 million that it had in economic impact. Okay. So economic impact, that's like everything. Okay. This isn't revenue from ticket sales, just revenue from ticket sales. This is everything. So people who are spending money on hotel stays,
room,
which is great. It's wonderful, but we're still in the hole. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we're still in the hole. The numbers aren't mathing, right? I think it's still, and I get it. Like, you're going to say it's an investment, and that we are putting Illinois out there, and we're putting our best face forward, and there is a benefit of that, for years to come that isn't necessarily measurable. And I get that, but to get out there and urge you to applaud them is what really starts to grind my gears.
Well, JB, who is and I don't know if you've caught this, Kat, I've been sharing this on JB's social media pages over and over and over again. JB is truly of the land of make-believe. He would love to be Walt Disney. And that's what this is all about, right? Spending taxpayer money to create this fantasy land, because that's what his entire tenure as governor has been. It's been make-believe. It's not the land of Lincoln anymore. It's the land of make-believe. So he's trying to prop up this Disneyland. JB is the president of make-believe. And that's what this guy does day in, day out. So I can't, when you've been to the state fair before, right?
Yeah. Like once.
How far off of the fairgrounds do you have to go before you start realizing the blight of that community, Springfield, our state capital? No different than Washington, D.C. and what the president's trying to do with possibly federalizing and taking over Washington, D.C. The crime is out of hand.
Not very far.
No. Why don't they spend the 140 million in reinvesting into the people of Springfield, the people of Illinois? These are people who are looking for the same people who can't afford to put, to take care of, maintain their homes, to pay their power bills, are going to be taking what little money that they do have, going across the street and getting themselves a big old thing of cotton candy and, corn dogs supplied by JB. I love that Oliver Anthony song. Why is it that my tax dollars are paying for someone who's 5'2" and 300 pounds? How is that benefiting that person who's 5'2" and 300 pounds? That is literally putting them in the grave.
Mm-hmm.
And we have no problem with that, as long as that person might show up at a polling place and check my name, because I made sure they had their corn dogs and cotton candy at the Illinois State Fair.
I know, and I just wish that people would put it together. Like, you're going to the Illinois State Fair and you're getting like these cool discounts, and they're not even all that like huge of a discount, right? You get to have a discounted admission price for a few days out of the fair, right? Selected days out of the fair, or you get free parking selected days out of the fair. And they tout this like it's the most affordable fair, and we want people of all income status to enjoy a part of the fair, and there's free events. And thanks to Governor J.B. Pritzker, we were able to bring back a Monday night concert at the grandstand, right? A free Monday night concert or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I wish you'd go in and you'd realize, all these discounts are throwing at you. It's not their money. It's you who are essentially paid for it ahead of time. Okay, you paid for it. The taxpayers paid for it ahead of time. And that's why you're able to get this discount now, because you already paid for it. And it's so hard to get people to think about their tax dollars that way, because you don't see it necessarily taken out of your wallet. And I love those videos of like the parents where they're teaching their kids about taxes. Like, you have like a wad of money and then you take $3 from them and you say, well, I have to take this for taxes.
Yeah.
The kids are like, when it looks like that, you're like, oh man, I don't like that. But you don't see it. And that's where it's hard to get people to think about that. And it's sad. I don't know. It's just,
well, it's unreal. It is the land of make believe. Yeah. It's the land of make believe. And Kat, we all know this. He's been in office for over 6.5 years. Our financial, of course, he was able during COVID and getting the federal money from the Biden administration to tout that he was paying down the debt because he was using federal money, federal taxpayer money, to pay down state taxpayer money to try to improve his credit rating. And he was touting, I've had 8 credit upgrades, which only led him to still an F minus. So how bad were things? Maybe an F plus. Okay, I'll give him a benefit of the doubt. But still a failing grade. We rank as one of the lowest fiscally performing states in the United States of America. I mean, that's not going to come back anytime because of poor financial decisions. And yes, we have an abundance of resources throughout Illinois. However, we mismanage and misappropriate it. And that's part of the reason somebody was asking, why is Susan Mendoza getting out of the position, not running for comptroller again? I think she's had enough. I think like Mike Madigan, why Lisa Madigan retired. I think that Lisa Madigan, was at least sensible to see the corruption of her father and said, I've got to get out of this. This guy's going down. The FBI is going to arrest him. Susan Mendoza is probably sitting back going, well, it's going on 2 years since I've created a annual report because none of the agencies will give me the data I need to create a report. And here I am. What am I going to continue to tell the taxpayers? She goes, I hold my job responsibly, right? I'm the person who controls the money, the taxpayers' money, and yet none of it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the comptroller because I have a video. And this is somebody who launched, a campaign. She announced her candidacy for Illinois State Comptroller. Comptroller Susan Mendoza turned this office around. I'm reading from her social media page, clearing the bill backlog and helping Illinois earn 9 credit upgrades, which we just talked about.
There you go. Yeah.
All without sacrificing worker protections. I'm ready to build. This is a Democrat. Her name's Holly Kim, and she's running for Illinois Comptroller. So I want you to take a listen to this video very carefully, especially in the beginning here, DVB.
Okay, here you are. Comptroller.
Holly Kim, and I'm running for Illinois Controller. People ask me, what is a controller? I tell them the controller checks every dollar the state spends, make sure the checks go out on time, and protects taxpayer money. And I should know because I've done the job and I have the receipts to prove it.
Okay.
As treasurer of...
Okay. No, it wasn't just one mistake because, the whole group of people there.
Yeah, they all don't know what the heck a comptroller is.
It was a bit, and I watched the whole ad. It's not a bit because I was like, oh, maybe they're like doing a bit or something, calling it the Illinois Controller. You heard the same thing I did, right?
None of these people have ever had a job.
They all said
They've never had a job in the private sector. Let's do their background. They have no clue that most companies have a comptroller who is the person paying the bills. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Well, she didn't say the name correctly. That's right. Yeah. Am I going insane?
She doesn't even know the position she's running for. Is not controller. It's comptroller. Oh my Lord. Oh, get your, you know what? Get your moving truck reserved at U-Haul now. Get out of this state. I hate to say that. I love Illinois. I'm an Illinois boy, But
I
boy,
do
oh
have to
boy,
ask you,
yeah,
Kathy Selfie,
the controller is coming after you,
the
right out of Monster Inc.
I'm running for Illinois controller. Like it sounds like a horror flick.
I am the DEI candidate for the DNC, Democrat Party of Illinois, and I'm running to control you.
I know. Well, we already have an Illinois controller. That is Governor J.B. Pritzker. So the position has been filled, ma'am.
Well, it's the entire Pritzker administration, if you want to call it an administration, because I'm trying to figure out what admin work they're doing when they can't even come up with the Auditor General's report or the Controller's report.
Glad you're here, David. David Popluenshine. Go check him out. DPB show. Type it in your search bar. Go subscribe to his channel. Yeah, that one is one for the books. I gotta screen record that because like as soon as people start calling,
you got it. Yes, please do.
So
Please do. So we can share it. We need to get people. Listen, I know you're tuned into the Conservative Cat Show. It's things like this that you should be blasting. Stop with all the other craziness on social media. If you really want to make social media a tool that works, blast a video like that so people can say, no, that's not real. That's AI. No, I'm pretty certain there's no intelligence with this.
That was wild. She doesn't even know the office she's running for. Speaking of offices, Kathy Selfie leaving as Illinois GOP chair. People are talking about leaving the state of Illinois altogether, that the Republican Party isn't dying, it's dead. Your thoughts there. I also want to get your thoughts on Darren LaHood not running for governor. I was very disappointed to hear that because I thought we had a chance if Darren LaHood was going to run for governor.
We covered it on the show last night, the DPB show, Kat.
Oh, I didn't get to tune in last night.
Well, I've got 21 minutes and it's your show, so I'm not going to monopolize it. But real quick on Kathy Selfie, I like Kathy Selfie. She is a genuine, caring, loving person. Catholic family from up north. They have put a lot of effort into a lot of philanthropic things, have donated tons of money. I have no idea when she decided to take the position for chair of the Illinois GOP. My wife and I, Mrs. Producer Tanya Blumenshine, we were on a speakerphone call with her, begging her to clean house and to go in a new direction. Unfortunately, Kathy believed that she could resurrect the people that were there, rather than fire the people, she could fire them up. Well, unfortunately, sometimes you can't teach an old dog a new trick. They're unwilling. They're going to continue to go the way they did. Yes, I am a firm believer, and it ties into Darren LaHood. The Illinois Republican Party has been totally demoralized. We have morals. We are the party of morality. The Democrat Party is the party of sin. Mm-hmm. They're the party of the Confederacy. They're the party of slavery. They're the party of,
eugenics.
And eugenics, partial birth abortion, full-term abortion. They're the party of, you name it, imploding the economy, destroying America. That's what these people believe in. We're the party of all the things that you can think about, prosperity. But unfortunately, through gerrymandering, redistricting, J.B. Pritzker managed to basically put a full court. I mean, you talk about flooding the zone, too big to rig. When you have a disadvantage of 17 congressional seats and you only maintain 18% of them, and you have two candidates, there's only really two candidates at this point that could run for governor, and they have the wherewithal, meaning they're already ready to hit the ground running. They could gather their 10,000 signatures. They could go into every county, 102 counties in Illinois, and instantly make an impact. And that would be Darren LaHood and Mary Miller. Mm-hmm. Mike Bost, not a chance. Mike Bost is basically, obviously he is what he is down in Southern Illinois. He's a yes man for Mike Johnson and received Trump's endorsement twice. So, gets back to the whole craziness of bought and paid for. I'm hoping that Mike decides to not be a career politician, since what he's done for 40 years is he's been involved in politics, which it's time for him to move on like Nancy Pelosi. But Darren LaHood is a disappointment because he does have the wherewithal to run a statewide campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Let's repeat what I said last night. Folks, we don't control. When you go out to the Illinois State Fair to get your corn dog and cotton candy, walk by these Taj Mahal tents of the Secretary of State, the comptroller, the treasurer. They all have their fancy tents with their fancy things with ice machines outside of their tents.
Yeah, Lieutenant Governor
Juliana Stratton.
She was talking about how she was going to go, I think it was to the Department of Ag tent, one of the tents, and she said, we're going to have apple cider slushies. And...
Oh, no, they're going to have it all because it's taxpayer funded. But they control every statewide office. It used to be somebody like Jim Edgar, which was he really a Republican? I don't think so. Or George Ryan. They held the Secretary of State position, and then they moved into the governors. We don't have that. We have no statewide offices. Therefore, we're shut out. We don't control either chamber of the House or of the General Assembly, whether it's the House or the Senate. We don't control the judicial branch, which is the Supreme Court, the Illinois State Supreme Court. We do have plenty of Republican judges inside of the court system. But at the end of the day, we have two candidates who are capable of doing that. Now, actually, I believe there's three. I shared this with my friend Darren Bailey yesterday. Darren Bailey already built out a shadow operation when he ran for governor because the Illinois GOP at the time, Don Tracy being the chair, were behind another candidate named Richard Irvin. And that came because a billionaire named Ken Griffin was putting $50 million into Richard Irvin's campaign. So Darren had to do this, bootstrap it, and build out his own shadow organization or parallel organization to the Illinois GOP. And that's where we're at. Those are the three candidates who have the ability.
That's what you said?
What's that?
It would be Darren Bailey. So the three candidates.
Yeah, it would be Mary Miller, Darren LaHood, or Darren Bailey.
Yeah, I would love to see Darren Bailey running. I think that he's the only one with the, I love Ted Dabrowski. His name's been floated out there.
Great guy.
Not the name recognition, or Aaron Del Mar.
Go to their social media pages. When Jim Mendrick seems like a nice guy, sheriff, he's got 3,000 people. Go to Darren Bailey's. It's close to 150,000 people are subscribing, following, just like the Conservative Cat Show. Go out, smash the like button, get out there. Support CAC, support the DPB show, support Ty Smith at the Modern Renaissance Man, support conservative thought leaders here in the central Illinois area. That's how we're going to rise above this, because we need a bench. We don't have a bench.
I know. I was so disappointed about Darren LaHood. I really thought, because, it's only a matter of time with the gerrymandering that goes on in the states. It's only a matter of time until Darren is written out. If not sooner rather than later, because we've already heard Governor J.B. Pritzker possibly retaliating against Texas, and we've only got the 3 seats left. So who's he going to ride out?
Well, so
I guarantee it's going to be Darren LaHood first, because it's
good point, because of his power that he holds in Congress. So one of the things why there's an argument that Darren should stay where he is because he does have a powerful. He's been given committees that he sits on that would be hard for a freshman to replace. Now, Darren LaHood's seat is a safe seat. There will be another Republican currently with the district standing, even though the gerrymander district that Darren is in the 16th congressional district. Mary Miller, safe seat. Mike Bost, a safe seat. So those 3 seats, the way they are currently drawn, are going to be Republicans. It's really hard to pick up additional seats. Now, I'm not saying it can't be done, because Lord knows JB can spend a lot of money and try to figure out a mathematical model that would be competitive, right, for those 3 districts. So now, Kat, I guess when you talk about hold the line, maybe it's better that, and I've said this, I know I said this to you, Kat, I'm not giving up. I'm not surrendering by not trying to go after a statewide office.
Yeah.
Because we already know that the chances of getting 2.5 million votes like Trump did and still not winning the state is really almost, it would take an act of God, David Goliath, to make that happen. But what can we do? When you look at that DuPage County map that they put out, we really are a red state. Even in the areas that are blue, those are 50-50 for the most part. In Champaign County, McLean County, Madison County, Peoria County, Rock Island County. Even in Chicago, Cook County, it has the largest Republican membership of any county in the United States of America. So that's the fascinating thing. When you look at all of these states that have zero representation from a Republican congressman, like Maryland and Vermont and Massachusetts, and you group all those states together, there are millions of Republicans who are unrepresented, meaning they don't have a congressman representing them. Well, in Illinois, we have millions of Republicans. We do. As far as I know, we had 2.5 million that voted for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of those congressional districts I just talked about, it's about 750,000. There are unrepresented Republican voters in Illinois, which is a travesty to the Constitution of the United States of America. So maybe I am hopeful that they didn't, because if JB is coming for Mary Miller, Mike Bost, and Darren LaHood's seats, we're going to need strong congressional leaders. If JB's trying to go 17-0 because he doesn't like 14-3, that's not a record that he likes, then maybe that's the battleground is at the congressional. Hold the line.
Yeah. And I don't know. I would love to see one of these statewide offices go towards a Republican. Just one of them.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. You know what? I want to come back on the Conservative Cat Show and tell you I was wrong, that we had some type of, God divinely, pointed his finger on our side of the field. Not that God really cares about the craziness of politics as much as he cares about obedience to him, right? And that's
at the end of the day, we just need somebody of faith, in a statewide office or in the governor's office. I mean, that's really what we just need. We need somebody who is God-fearing. And I just don't know.
Every other state has it. Sarah Huckabee, governor of Arkansas, faith-filled person. The governor of Tennessee, I have this personal story to tell about that. If we got about 2 minutes, I know.
Oh yeah, we've got plenty of time.
So my daughter Hannah was touring the state capitol in Tennessee, and I just drew a blank on his name. Gosh, it was just right there. The governor of Tennessee, irregardless of his name.
I'll find it.
She walked by him, and he had a group of high schoolers in the state capitol, and he was basically witnessing to his faith in Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And how faith is tied in to public policy, that you can't separate faith from government.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen. This was founded by people of faith. And yet that's all the Democrats do. The whole essence of them calling this country a democracy is trying to lighten what this country is. It's not a democracy. It's a republic. Somebody says, well, then Google republic and tell me what republic is. Republic is, yes, there is democratic overtones in a republic, but it's not a democracy. It's a republic.
Yeah. And it's kind of fascinating. So I was actually talking with this.
Bill is his name, right?
Billy. Yeah.
Billy. Yeah. Billy. I thought I was trying to say Mike Lee, but that's the senator from Utah.
Yeah. I was thinking about Kentucky Governor
Bashir, Andy. How did that even happen? Only in Kentucky.
Yeah, I don't even know. But so I was talking to him about this with somebody the other day. It was a marriage podcast that I was listening to, and I was talking with a girlfriend of mine, and we were talking about how The feminazi movement has, tried to distort what marriage actually is, and it's not a democracy. It's very much a republic. So, like, similar to that of the way our nation should be run, our marriages should be run, where, if that, then this, well, I don't want to do this if he doesn't do that, or if she doesn't do this, then I don't want to do that, or she's not doing this, so I shouldn't have to do this. No, you do it, no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, because it's your job and it's your duty. So similar to that of a constitutional republic, you have to go. And these Texas Democrats, that's why this is not a democracy. Okay, you don't get to decide what bills you vote on, what issues you talk about or debate on the floor. This is not a democracy. You are, and there's in the Texas Constitution, and it reflects what God had in store and in a plan. The Texas Constitution says, hey, you can be civilly arrested if you don't show up for your job.
That's right.
And like,
you signed up, you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah. So despite what the Republicans are doing, it's similar to that of a marriage. Despite what your wife might be doing, or despite what your husband might be doing, you have a job, and you have to do that job, even if you don't like what the other person is doing, or what the other side of the
and I mean within the guide rails. I mean, obviously, we're not promoting anything that deals with addiction, abuse, adultery, or abandonment. Those are sins that it is hard, and it happens so often in marriages. But why are those things at such a high level? If any one of those things, whether it be abuse is horrific, whether it be addiction, whether it be adultery or abandonment, that's a sin. Those are sins. Our partners, our spouses, they sin. They are not perfect people. The key is to try to rise above that. And that only happens, if you want to live a life in grace, if you want to live a life of mercy, grace, respect, obedience, all those things. There's only one way, and that's through the blood of Jesus Christ, and it only happens through the power of the Holy Spirit. Because to do it without the Holy Spirit, I'm sorry, you're going to fail miserably. I don't care who you are. If you don't believe in the Holy Spirit, you don't believe in Jesus, good luck. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, that's not being mean. I've been there. I've lived my life for me. I've lived my life for you. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. When you live your life for the one true God, that is the only way to success. There is no other way.
These Texas Democrats and, in your marriages, whatever, when you're living out the higher purpose and what God has called you into, and a duty, and you serve one God, then everything else doesn't matter. The fact that this person wronged you, or the fact that, these Republicans, even if you think they're abusing the system, I'm not super fond of the mid-decade, and Ryan Spain actually came out and he said that what I think Texas is doing is wrong. I wouldn't go as far as Ryan Spain, the state representative.
Or Travis Weaver. Give me, you guys need to get out of the way.
I wouldn't go that far. I'm not a fan.
Zip your lip. You're not a Texas governor or a Texas representative.
Yeah, so they have no idea what's going on in the state of Texas. And you've talked about this on your show, the redistricting, and why it's actually happening is because of, was it the 2020 census where a lot of people were including illegal immigrants into the 2020 census, and they redrew.
Texas has been counting illegal immigrants well beyond the 2020. It's been their whole plan of the demographic destiny and replacement theory has been going on for decades. That's what they've been trying to do to Texas.
There's been
realign the electorate.
Yeah, an unprecedented influx of illegal immigrants, and they kind of need to sit down and redraw, and I don't think that's quickly,
because Joe Biden's administration allowed them to count undocumented illegal people who are not registered or who are not legal citizens of the United States. Therefore, they should not be registered to vote, and they are.
Yeah. And so Ryan Spain coming out and saying it's just wrong that what Texas is doing to
Ryan Spain needs to go away.
I
He's
don't
part
like
of the
it.
problem.
I think that we should be able in the year of 2025 to be able to draw maps without any kind of human bias. Like, we should be able to draw a map with X amount of straight lines based on population size and geographic location. Like, I don't know what's so freaking hard about it. Get a software program that draws it for you, and then it eliminates gerrymandering entirely, the human element completely, and do it every 10 years, as the population changes.
Well, it should be simple, obviously, and I also believe that it's hard for one congressman to represent 750,000 people. You know what? Maybe the House needs to increase in size. The Senate obviously is 2 senators per state, which is kind of cool because it doesn't matter what the size of your state is, you still have representation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. There's got to be some way to do this where people aren't gerrymandering. But years and decades of blue states writing out Republican representation, the only way at this point, and this is biblical, to balance the scales here, the only way would be for red states to eat up Democrat seats in Democrat representation. That is the only way we balance.
I'm glad you bring that up, Kat, because let's not forget, 77 million people voted for Donald Trump. He won the popular vote. He won 7 swing states. He won in areas that he's never won. He made influx or increases in Hispanic, Black, Asian votes, women. Trump shows us that what the country truly wants. And all they have done since Inauguration Day is try to beat the people have spoken. That's just how this works. And they're unwilling to accept. They've been unwilling to accept Trump's presidency 45 and now 47. And it should have never been 47. It should have been just 2 terms as 45. But they figured out a way to cheat. And they did. 81 million votes for Joe Biden.
Yeah, Obama didn't get that. No other Democrat got that. Proverbs 16:11, honest scales and balances are the Lord's. All the weights in the bag are his work. So this emphasizes that, God is all about fairness and honesty, and fairness being that, hey, if you guys have been taking away Republican representation and containing it, it's only fair that the Texans, that they take away some Democrat representation. You have to have balanced, honest scales. So it's Proverbs 16:11. So that's just biblical. And like the Democrats, like they are just so anti-biblical. They don't want honest scales. So anything to go against Proverbs 16:11, they're going to do. And they have been doing for decades.
Yep. They promote sin. It's what the Democrat Party does best.
Yep. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of the show today. David, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Kat.
Subscribe to him right now. Type it in your search bar, DPB show, or type it in the Rumble search bar, the Facebook search bar. It's there. And head on over to my Facebook page. I'm going to do like a quick little poll. Does she say this? What is her name? Kim? Holly Kim. She is running for Illinois comptroller. I need you guys to throw it in the comment section on my Facebook post. Does she say comptroller or controller? She says controller.
Controller. She's running for the controller's office.
The controller's office.
Will directly answer to the head controller, J.B. Pritzker.
She said it twice, like 3 times. And then she had a group of people say controller.
Yeah, a montage of people. Everybody was saying that she was going to run for the controller's office. All of her friends are controllers. I don't want to be married to any of those women.
The feminazis. All right. Bye, David. You have a blessed day. I'll catch you guys later. See you tomorrow.